Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Got a little bit of an update vlog for you today, but before we get stuck into the vlog, I'm actually going to go out for a run. Just to recap, we raced last night. Can you believe that? We actually raced a 10k last night in London at the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. It was my first race for 15 months. Yeah, exactly, 15 months, 15 long months. So we'll recap that once I get back in for my run, recover my legs because they were a little bit achy this morning. So the best way to sort of loosen them up is a nice sort of hour or sort of run, which I'm going to do right now. Then we'll have a catch up when we go back in for some recovery, and I'll talk you through the race splits, and my feeling of actually racing and getting back out there again with everyone else, and that sort of feeling of coming back together with the running community. So let's get straight into it. Let's go and get out that run on, and I'll catch you once I get back. So let's just break down the race. So Sports Direct put me into the race. I was doing a takeover on their Instagram page. Going back to a run through race, I know what to expect in terms of the organisation. Obviously the event is very well run, and you know what to expect in terms of the course. So I'd done this course previously, like I mentioned, in September 2019, where my old PB was. So in terms of going into the race, I headed down there, got there for like 6:20, went straight into a warm-up, visited the facilities, and then what they've done with the start area is, so you head down to the start based on the predicted finish time that you're going for that particular race, and each start has 2 cones and they're all in parallel. And it's a rolling start, which means that you shouldn't really be too close to anyone on the course. So I started the race quite far back for where I wanted to be, but I started amongst probably like the people going for the sub 40, and I managed to move a few places ahead. But it was fine because I knew that there was probably 20 rows ahead of me, so that's probably like 40 people, which wasn't too bad. But I started off fairly well. I started off fairly controlled. I ran the first K, and I've got the splits up here, in 3:30. I didn't feel as if I was pushing myself to the absolute limit. Now that I look back on it, and it's been a day or so since I actually raced, I felt as if there was much more in the tank. My heart rate for the actual whole run was 170 beats per minute, and if I was to consider that my heart rate is probably max around 184, 185 beats a minute, there's leeway. There's definitely some area to tap into in terms of pushing. There is definitely some scope in there for me to work on, definitely pushing that lactate threshold a little bit more, and obviously working on a lot of the short of interval stuff just means that I can sustain a lot of this pace for longer. So we did the second kilometre in 3:36, and then the third in 3:37. So not a huge variation between 2 and 3. Obviously you go off a little bit quick, and obviously that was the first one, aside from the last one, was my fastest kilometre. So I felt very controlled. I felt very within myself. Racing is back. A different feeling from my perspective compared to the 5k time trial. If you haven't actually seen that video, I'll link it up in the upper right hand corner. That was an awful experience, whereas yesterday was the total polar opposite. Completely different headspace. I was actually eager to actually get to the start line and actually race and put myself out there. I said to myself at the start, even if I go to the wall and end up have nothing left in the tank and I walk it in, I'm happy with that. At least I'm back racing. At least I'm back with the running community. I'm back with other people around me, people chasing me. I'm chasing other people. I was more than happy to do that, and I think that cannot be replicated on your own in a virtual. It just cannot. That feeling, that adrenaline rush, it's just not there, not at all. Moving into the second lap, I did the next kilometre in, this is kilometre 4 in 3:42, and then the 5th kilometre in 3:37. I actually went past on the second lap. On my watch, so the 2 laps would have been 5k. I was just slightly under in terms of what my GPS was logging. Obviously around the Olympic Park and around the stadium, there are some GPS errors. When I did this race 18 months ago, I clocked over 10k, whereas yesterday I clocked just under 10k at 6.16 miles, which is 9.91 kilometers, so just under 100 meters give or take of GPS error. So I'm not worrying about that because I trust Runthrough. I trust the fact that this is the measured course. It's licensed by Run Britain. Past the 5k, I remember looking at my watch, it was in 17:48-ish, I think, which technically is a 5k PB for me. So obviously my watch hasn't triggered the 5k PB, but I knew that I was in good position to just maintain my speed. If I'd maintained my speed, I would have come home with a PB, and at this point in time I wasn't actually thinking about will I PB here today. I just wanted to run as consistent and evenly paced as possible and just push it all the way. I just wanted to keep pushing it all the way. Moving into the third lap, kilometer 6, we did a 3:42, and this is probably the toughest section of my course, of my race, because it was then followed up with a 3:43, then a 3:41, so very much consistent. I remember looking at the watch thinking, just don't let anything be over a 6-minute mile, just keep it under 6, and then you'll probably sort of stay within range and stay within target. And then starting off on the next lap, which was kilometer 8, 9 and 10, dropped down to 3:41. At this point there was a guy in front of me who sort of crept in front at the start of the third lap, and he was very close to me, probably about 3 or 4 meters ahead, and I just kept saying to myself, just chase this guy, just chase him down, just chase him down, or let him be the person that's leading me, because I was actually using him as a pacemaker, because he was obviously moving a little quicker than I was, come from behind me as well, so he had a lot more speed in his legs, so I was using him as my pacemaker, and I just kept the distance. I just kept him within 2-3 meter range, and it increased my pace, increased my turnover, and it also increased my focus up here in terms of I wasn't thinking of anything around me. I was just, or sort of distracting myself. I was just thinking on this sole person, just keep the distance in front of him. That's one thing I'd definitely recommend to all of you out there racing, is just focus on the small things that you can, even if it's the next person in front of you. If you're trying to maintain a gap or trying to keep them close to you, just focus on their footsteps, just focus on your breathing, focus on keeping yourself nice and proud, good running form, and just sort of turning your legs over and keep them within distance. So I kept him within distance for that third lap, and then going into the fourth lap again, he was very much the same. When I started that fourth lap, I just picked up speed. I just knew I'm only doing this one lap. It's only 2.5k. It's literally at best 8 minutes of running. At this point in time, the PB was in sight. I kind of realized that I'd gone past 5 miles, just over 29 minutes on the clock, and another mile would have been very, very close for me. Going past the 9k mark, I sort of came in at 3:39, and then obviously the final K, I just tried to just push as hard as I can. It was in the last 600 meters, I just sort of closed that 3-4 meter gap down to like 2 or 3 meters, and then in the last 200 meters I just went past him, like in the home straight. As I was approaching the finish line, I knew that he was behind me, and even if he tried, and I had confidence in myself, even if he tried to creep up behind me, I knew I had an extra gear just to sort of put the afterburners on, and I finished pretty quick. I mean, that last kilometer came in at 3:03, bearing in mind that the GPS has clocked 9.91 miles, so I'm not totally set on what that might have been, but it would have been probably the fastest kilometer of the race. And the actual finish line, I just stopped the watch thinking, and I remember turning the final corner with like 200 meters to go, thinking, Jesus Christ, like I'm going to come under 36, and I was counting the seconds down. Well guys, we have finished. Racing is well and truly back. Grabbed a little medal as well, and a shiny 1 minute PB. Came in at 35:54 on my watch, which is a huge 61-second PB, so we are well and truly back, guys. I've introduced track work back into my training, a lot of pyramid work, so we're working like a 200 meter, 400, 600, 800, 1200, and just doing a lot more of that, and something just to get the turnover and just work on those intervals and those repeats. And obviously I've been working on slightly longer threshold work and longer tempo work, so it's definitely helped me running at speed for longer, which is essentially what you need for a 10k. Coming in at 35:54 on my watch, but obviously checking the chip time, it came to 35:51, so super chuffed with the time. I'm not gonna lie, I was very, very, very happy with the time in terms of what it was, and breaking 36 for the first time, and 3:35 per k average, 5:46 minutes per mile average. So I definitely feel as if, given another race in a few more weeks or even a month or so, I could definitely challenge that pretty closely. I do feel pretty confident, and it was just great to be back in that environment. So if I do recommend, if you are in the UK, if you're Runthrough and other local companies are actually very, very safe to run in, you feel at home. Even the racing experience, I felt very much at home. It just felt like normal. It was a normal evening in such an abnormal time for all of us, and it was just nice to do that and feel that experience. And I'm definitely grateful for Sports Direct and obviously Runthrough for obviously putting the event on and obviously putting me in the event. So let me know down in the comments if you've attended a race this year so far as they've been back on, wherever you may be, or if you're planning to run an event very soon. So yeah, let me know down in the comments what your training is like and where it's going, and obviously if you're going to try and put that training to use for in a race scenario, because don't get me wrong, virtuals have been good for the time being, but I hope to not to do one again, and I can probably echo a lot of people out there who probably share the same sentiment in terms of how they feel about virtuals. You just get a different level of performance from a race, and you tap into something which you just cannot get on your own. Like given when parkrun is back, I'm pretty sure that I can actually annihilate my 5k time. I feel very confident that I can actually do that now. So fingers crossed that we are on the road for a good time returning, for not only for me but for all of you guys here, and for me to sort of bring you along on this YouTube channel. Make sure you drop this video a thumbs up, because it does really help the channel. It helps this particular video go to as many people as possible, and they can sort of take some inspiration out from this racing experience. And make sure you subscribe down below and hit the bell notification for when I post a new video. So guys, thank you for watching. I hope your running is going really well, and yeah, let me know down in the comments where and when you are racing next, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace out.